The Hills of D.C. by Nathaniel McQueen Ill. This is chapter 35, part 1 of a 2-part segment. It's called The Escape, and that's what it's about, an attempted escape from D.C. jail. Ladies and gentlemen, I'm sure you're going to enjoy this. Go out and purchase the book. Thank you very much.
Chapter 35. The Escape Attempt. D.C. jail was constructed in the Capitol Hill residential area of the city. It was 100 years old. Over the years, its reconstruction occurred several times to accommodate the influx of criminals. The city was overwhelmed with armed robbery cases, violence, drugs, prostitution, and organized crime. Detaining the city's most dangerous offenders, it was considered as secure as ever. Even in its twilight, its daunting presence on the corner of 19th and Independence Avenue Southeast was foreboding for most criminals entering it. It was a legendary, intimidating sight to behold. The day after Nybal was expedited to the jail, he attempted to escape from CB1 and was isolated for 72 hours. Upon request, he was reassigned to the CB2 where Oliver was housed. Oliver was relieved to see him when he stepped inside the cell. "Hey Oliver, it's good to see you, my brother. I just got out the hole," he stated. "Yeah, I heard you were locked down for trying to escape. It was all over the jail. What happened? Did Shorty die?" Oliver asked out of curiosity. "He's alive, and nothing else really matters," he replied with disappointment. He really didn't want to talk about it, but Oliver was determined to know what happened. "Man, I heard you got into a rumble with Captain Black and the Goon Squad." He was dying to know the particulars. "Yeah, but it wasn't much of a rumble," Nybal admitted while reflecting on the incident. The sun was shining brightly, and the weather for late September was awful friendly. For a short while, the inmates were free to enjoy its brilliance and warmth. Some were playing basketball and exercising, while others walked the yard reminiscing about the good times. Nybal and 3 other inmates were standing not far from the yard's double fence line. They were trying to appear inconspicuous. The sight of freedom was spellbinding, quite pleasing to the eye. Once they scaled the fences, they were hoping to hijack a car from D.C. General Hospital's parking lot. The fences were 12 feet high, crowned with both barbed and razor wire. The yard was west of the jail on D Street Southeast. Its view was primed for a jailbreak. The makeshift gun tower, erected 20 feet in the air, was located between the fences. Its foundation was level with the yard 15 feet above the lot. The jail's ancient structure towered over the lot, which was quiet and desolate at the moment. Unfortunately, there were no women to fantasize about. Still, in the eyes of the inmates who were conspiring to escape, the lot couldn't have looked lovelier. They visualized liberty, enticing them to make a run for it, and they were willing to flirt with death to make it happen. Nybal scanned the area discreetly while mapping out an escape route in his mind. He was ready to die trying to escape, and was physically in the best condition of his life. He was close to being 6'5", and his lean, muscular body was hard as a rock. It had taken him 1 year of grueling workout sessions, twice a day, to carve it into a work of art. His large, soft brown eyes were shining brightly with the anticipation of being free again. There was nothing quite like the feeling of taking back one's freedom, and he was tired of waiting. Today was as good as any. He was mentally prepared to proceed alone, if he had no choice. Once his trial was over, he would return to Petersburg. He had spoken with his homeboy, Papoose, before he was expedited to the jail. They devised a plan to escape once he returned. It was risky, and they would need help. With no room for error, escaping from federal custody would be complicated. Most of its prisons were built in rural areas, diminishing the inmates' chances of escaping successfully. He couldn't afford to juggle the present moment with the ever-changing future. The time to act was now, while he was on the yard. The guard in the tower stared openly at Nybal and his friends. He was hoping that the menacing look on his face would dissuade them from getting closer to the fence. He had been around the block several times while working in the jail, and they looked like bad news to him. His blue eyes were alert, and his silver-gray hair was cropped short, like a Marine veteran. He was an older white male in his mid-50s. At a glance, it appeared that the inmates didn't see him inside the poorly lit tower with tinted windows. However, in truth, he was never outside of Nybal's peripheral vision. 30 feet from where they were hoping to climb over the fences, he cradled a 12-gauge pump shotgun in his arms. He focused his attention on Nybal, who was most animated while talking. "Man, I'm telling you, it's our only way out. It's either now or never," he emphasized. Tree thought that it would be best to wait, at least until the guard turned his back. It would give them a few seconds to climb over the first fence, without coming under immediate fire. He was convicted of selling drugs, and was waiting to be sentenced. He was several years younger than Nybal, but equally as reckless. As an amateur boxer, his street-savvy and formidable fighting skills were earning him notoriety in and outside the ring as a promising upcoming middleweight. He was slim, and 1 inch short of being a 6-footer. His complexion was medium brown. The thick mustache covering his upper lip was his facial signature. He thought escaping from jail was the most natural thing a human being could ever do after being caged. Hosea didn't think escaping was a good idea, not at the moment. The guard had been watching them the whole time they were on the yard. Hosea had a murder case pending, and the evidence was overwhelming. Feeling that he would never see the streets again unless he escaped, he grudgingly was prepared to risk his life. Shorty Bolden was the youngest and smallest of the 4, and the least talkative. He hadn't said a word. Nybal's deep voice was cool, but urgent. "So are we going to do this or what? It's a suicide mission any way we look at it, and somebody might get burnt. On the other hand, if we can make it to the lot, we are home free from there. Just follow me. This is my neighborhood," he emphasized. He knew the Capitol Hill area like the back of his hand. Once over the fences, he would have a distinct advantage of traveling through the alleys. He looked at Shorty Bolden, staring at the guard with a crazed look in his eyes, and asked, "What do you think about leaving right now, Shore?" Shorty didn't give him a chance to complete the question. He sprinted towards the fence and leapt over it gracefully. Nybal, Tree, and Hosea were taken by surprise. Fueled by Shorty's mad attempt, they snapped out of their shock and ran behind him. As soon as they hit the fence, gunfire erupted, shattering the afternoon quietness surrounding the jail. As the gunshot reverberated, an eerie silence gripped the yard. The inmates watched the macabre image of Shorty falling from the top of the fence. His feet were twisted in the razor wire, and his head was inches from impacting the ground. Blood oozed profusely from his chest. It was obvious to everyone that he was seriously wounded and might be dead.
How y'all like that? Straight, raw, no cut. Live events that took place at 1901 D Street. The attempted escape. That was part 1 of chapter 35. Coming up, part 2 of chapter 35. We're going to see the results of Shorty getting shot, the tear gas, knives buried in the rec yard, the goon squad. Nybal charges the COs. They beat him mercilessly. Captain Black hooking back up with the notorious Cadillac. You can purchase this book at www.thehillsofdc.com or straight from Amazon. Thank you for your support. Peace. Mental elevation, t-shirt line. Mental elevation, feeding the blind. Wake up. Special shout out to Al Prophet YouTube channel, American Dope. Peace.